to the budget with my remaining time. Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan recently said the worst mistake President Obama made was not embracing his own Fiscal Commission's recommendation to reduce our debt by $4 trillion over the next 10 years. Today, our national debt is more than $15.6 trillion, nearly $1.9 trillion higher than it was when the Fiscal Commission released its recommendations, and $6.4 trillion higher than when President Obama was sworn in. In January 2013, the first thing the next president will have to do is to ask the Congress to increase the debt ceiling. The fundamental problem is that Washington doesn't know how to balance its checkbook. The president has proposed a budget that raises taxes by $1.9 trillion over the next 10 years and still spends more than it takes in every year instead of endorsing the Fiscal Commission's recommendations or any other plan to address our nation's fiscal crisis. According to the Congressional Budget Office, under the president's budget, interest on our debt will triple over the next 10 years, and by 2022, we'll be spending more in interest than we spend on national defense. This is, Mr. President, an irresponsible proposal, and instead of playing politics, we should be working together on a plan to address the debt, which is the most urgent problem facing our country, and according to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the biggest threat to our national security. The Simpson-Bowles Fiscal Commission plan, the Domenici-Rivlin plan, the Gang of Six proposal, all offer bipartisan blueprints for how to address it. Each of these proposals would reform the tax code, restructure entitlement spending. Entitlement spending is the main source of our dangerous federal debt. Do those reforms so that seniors can count on Medicare and Social Security and taxpayers can afford them. Mandatory entitlement spending, which is 58% of the federal budget, is growing at nearly 3 times inflation and bankrupting our country. Discretionary spending, which funds our national defense, our highways, our national parks, and national laboratories, is only 36% of the federal budget and is growing at the rate of inflation. Focusing our budget cutting on discretionary spending is just a way for Congress to use the president's words to kick the can down the road. The real work is reducing the growth of mandatory spending. Although the Senate's not debating its own budget resolution, going 1,113 days without passing a budget, we're debating several proposals. I don't agree with every one of these, but I do support the House-passed budget because it's a serious proposal to cut out of control spending and help solve our fiscal crisis. I will also support the proposal offered by Senator Toomey. Even though it cuts non-defense discretionary spending to 2006 levels, which I believe is too low, it reforms mandatory entitlement spending, it closes tax loopholes, it lowers tax rates, it would save Medicare for future generations. Senator Toomey and I have also discussed the possibility of allowing states to have the option of choosing per capita caps on their average Medicaid expenditures per beneficiary as an alternative to traditional block grants, and I'm encouraged by these discussions. So, Mr. President, last August, I supported the Budget Control Act because it was an opportunity to take an important step in the right direction. The House-passed budget and the budget proposed by
Senator has 30 more seconds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The House-passed budget and the budget proposed by Senator Toomey are opportunities to make the next step after the Budget Control Act. And I look forward to working with them to adopt a responsible budget that grows the economy and reduces our debt. I thank the President. I yield the floor.